handle the truth.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Saturday Night Cell Block. Thomas Freemy. This is the Thomas Freemy TV and podcast show. And we're getting jiggy with it tonight, man. What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? First and foremost, many blessings out there to the less fortunate. Many prayers for strength and understanding, warmth. There's a lot of people out there dealing with a lot of issues, man. We got a lot of people. I just was talking to a friend on Messenger. Up there in the cold, ain't got no power for the whole weekend. You know, so we got a lot of people dealing with power issues, hunger issues, man, toxic issues, acid rain going around, people's paints bubbling off. We got so much stuff going on, man. But tonight, we're going to talk about some more stuff going on. And tonight's show is specifically going to be about prison stabbings, right? Because that's the hype. Y'all like all the violent stuff, man. You like the blood and the gore. You like the stories. You know what I mean? And I don't really particularly like to bring that stuff, but it is necessary because these are things that do occur. So we're gonna get into it. I brought in a good friend. Again, you guys, if you've been watching the show, you know him as Paul Kratzis, Mr. Paul, Mr. Baltimore Kid. So I got him back on the show. Of course, he did 30 years in the federal system. Was shot in the face. Had to go to jail with a gunshot wound to the jaw. You know, so this guy, the rough and rugged guy right here. So he's been in the nitty gritty. But more importantly, our discussion is going to be around the fact, not so much as the violent nature of stabbings, but why they occur, why a person gets stabbed. And we're not going to be specifically talking about gang violence, things of that nature, because that comes with the given. We're going to be talking about the individual who goes to prison, not gang related, trying to do their time, how an individual like that could end up being stabbed or getting stabbed. So without further ado, let me bring in my guests. Before we do that, before I switch over, please, again, as you see the link at the bottom of the screen, visit www.cominghomecoalition.com. Go to our Project Start Fresh page. See what we have going on. We do have a new raffle as well. That raffle drawing will be the same night as the Tampa Bay Rays. But please go there, and towards the end of the show, I'll read to you exactly what those prizes will be. But in the time being, let me bring on my guest.
How you doing?
Oh, Diggity, what's going on, man?
All right, how you doing?
And I'm blessed, man. Well, I could tell you one thing, I'm warm.
Yeah, I'm cold.
Yeah.
It's cold here.
Huh?
I said it's cold up here.
Yeah, it's cold, man. You're up there in Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So how's everything been going, man? I haven't had you on here for a minute.
Yeah, it's been going good. You know, can't complain.
So go ahead and tell the viewer a little bit about your experience and why I would bring you on to talk about this show specifically.
Because I've seen a lot of stuff while I was in 30 years in prison. So, you know. That's probably why I experienced.
Living
where all the
experience.
action is, and most of the action is in the penitentiaries, the United States penitentiaries, and federal prison. Yeah.
And what did you do, Paul? What did you do to get to the federal penitentiary?
I was a drug dealer,
And
I got sentenced to life, and they shipped me there to Lewisburg. I did the first 5 years of my life sentence there in Lewisburg.
So when you got to Lewisburg, you were young too, right?
I was 27.
So when you got to Lewisburg, what was your first experience going into the yard of Lewisburg, maximum security?
They put me in MAB unit, which that time was they had two sides, sand side and MAB side. And on MAB side, you had A unit people mostly coming out of Marion at the time for long term lockdown, and B wing and D wing was just the standard MAB prisoners, what they say most aggressive behavior. And then you had in C when I think that was C block. I was in D block. C block was foul unit. You know, mostly people on medication.
Mm-hmm. Psych ward.
Mostly old people. Some people on medication.
A lot of
Uh,
people be on medication in prison, man. When they call pill line, you see people you didn't even know. You'll see people you didn't even know was on the compound. Like, well, who the hell
but
is that?
most of them taking back in time. Back then, they was taking everything. They were getting Xanax. They were getting Klonopins. They were getting uh, Thorazine. They were getting everything they wanted. But then they, mid 2000s, they start pulling back on it.
Mm-hmm.
But they were giving them whatever they wanted. You
Yeah.
know, most people, that's how they did their time.
So when
Drugs.
you got to
Get to
Lewisburg, how did you know, Paul? Like you get on this compound. How did you know that you were in a serious
I
place?
did. Listen. You know, when I got there, my first night there, I'm seeing a guy get stabbed in the cell with a big ass butcher knife. That's my first night there, but it is what it is.
So you get there and you see this guy. You see him being stabbed in the cell, but you don't know why.
No, I never did find out why.
And
An
who
Indian was
huh?
It was an Indian stabbing a white dude. I don't know.
Is it Indian, like a native Indian?
Yeah,
I can't say
yeah.
I met too many native Indians in any of the prisons I was in.
Back then things were different. Everybody back then time was different. Everybody, was their own man. They pretty much stood on their own 2 feet and handled their own business. It wasn't everything so segregated. I mean, like, it ain't like it is now. Things changed. More gangs, popped up over the years.
Well, talk about that. Elaborate on that some, because you was
So
in there long enough to see that transition of the type of quality of inmate that a federal inmate was back in the '90s.
as
Go.
long as he was good, his paperwork was good, everything like that, then he was good. You know what I mean? Until he did something bad. You don't rat, you don't check in,
Mm-hmm.
and you handle your business. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You know,
So after you see this dude getting stabbed, like what's going through your mind? Like how
nothing, nothing, truthfully. Nothing. It ain't my business.
so you
You
just
know,
you go to the cell and just rack up.
when it's my time to go to cell, yeah.
So let's talk, because aside from the gang stuff, like I said in the intro, because we understand what gang life is and that type of stuff, and stabbings and all that stuff comes with that type of life. But let's talk about how an individual who's not gang related, right, who's not into gangs, goes into prison and either gets himself stabbed or ends up stabbing somebody. Now, I've had a guest on several times, um, Mr. Frank De Palma, who did 42 years out in the Nevada system, and he did 23 on solitary confinement. And this is a dude that went to prison only getting 10 years and ends up doing 42, because when he got in there, he turned down the Aryan clan that wanted to recruit him. And of course, they just let the people go on him, and he ended up killing somebody inside, which is just catapulted. People have to go back and listen to that show. But Frank is out now, and he's out there in Nevada, man. He's really, really struggling. I hope he tunes in. I sent him a link. He's really struggling out there. But so how in that instance do individuals go in and get themselves in situations where they can possibly get stabbed?
Because I mean, a lot of times they might just be disrespectful and not be respectful like they should to another person. They usually get themselves in a jam. They might borrow money they can't pay. They might start using drugs and run up drug debts and to the wrong people. And there's a lot of different things. Long as your paperwork is right and you mind your business, you're going to be all right. But when you don't do that, that's when you have problems.
Well, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the individual who his paperwork is straight, but he's just a knucklehead, right? Maybe he just he's going in with this mentality of not really truly understanding prison life, and he's going in there with the bravado. Because, like, in my opinion, one of the worst mistakes that you can do going into prison is following this stigmatic view that you got to go in there and knock out the biggest, baddest dude you see in there,
Right.
or swing on the first guy, or don't show them you're weak. So you got these guys walking around like this here all the time, and
Exactly. And you gotta just stay out their way till they get till they realize what's going on. You know what I mean? You just laugh at them until they come to their senses. Just be you. Be you, and just be you. That's all. That's all I did. I was me. I was the same person in there as I am right here.
mm-hmm,
I was the same person before I went in as I was, the whole time I was in. If you was good people, I mess with you.
mm-hmm,
Point blank. I ain't care who you were or whatever. You was good, I kicked it with you. You know? Some people didn't like that. And those that didn't like that, I didn't mess with them. I'm gonna be me I'm gonna be me to the end. If a person don't like that, got a problem with me being me, and I ain't do nothing to them, I ain't violate them, I ain't disrespect them, and they want to hurt me, then I'm gonna try to kill them, point blank.
mm-hmm,
So if they want to die because they don't like me, then that's the way it's gonna be. Because I'm gonna handle my business. From the time I went in there, I never ducked no wreck, and I was willing to lay my life down on it at any time. Or is the next guy willing to lay his life down for what he believes? I'm willing to lay my life down, and thank God I never had to, lay it down.
mm-hmm.
So
Have you
it
ever
worked
gotten
out.
into a situation where you felt like you were going to have to, it was either him or you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I had every intention to kill people more than once in there.
But why?
And
What what
I ain't go ask no permission. Oh, can I do this because it's another race? I don't care if it's another race. I don't
hmm,
care about that. If you violate, you violate, and I'm handling it. I ain't going to go. Oh, I gotta go ask permission to do this. I ain't asking permission from nobody. Nobody. You
so
know.
but how did you get into these situations? Like what caused the situation to get to that point right there, to where you're telling yourself in your mind, like, I'm gonna kill this dude. If he puts his hands on me, I'm hitting him.
Well, different situations. Like I play cards. I play cards with anybody. You know what
Okay.
I mean? So I mainly play cards with black people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I'm a good card player, and I feel guilty taking money from other white people. You know what I mean?
Why?
So I play cards with black people. Some white people might not like that. Oh, he playing cards. But I don't care about all that. Look, I'm playing cards. Most of black people play cards. Most of black people shoot dice, and I shoot dice. I play cards. I run the dice game, and they all wanted me to run the dice game,
But
and I like running the dice game.
why would you feel guilty taking money from the white dudes and not the black dudes?
Because I'm good at that. Because they're not good at the playing cards. They don't play cards every day, 10, 12 hours a day.
Ah, the skill level.
Yeah. So
And then
I feel guilty.
so you're running a poker table, right? Which is known as the house inside. Like, you're the house.
Yeah.
and describe a situation as to, because remember, this isn't just me and you talking. You know that I know. And what I'm trying to get out of you is for the individuals that don't know, the kids that may be on their way inside of prison, right? So I'm trying to paint scenarios, right?
I got all that up, so see what I find. All right.
I'm trying to paint scenarios.
Hey, hold up, hold up.
All right.
What about this stuff?
We'll do all that tomorrow.
Gotcha.
I'm off. Yeah, because I'm off tomorrow.
All right.
Monday, so we'll figure it out.
And then I want you to show us the cars and stuff, what you got going on. But I'm trying to paint scenarios, Paul. These kids, you know, young men, young women that are on their way inside in situations that they may occur, because you know how it is. We get into life in there. We just start living, right? And we get into these situations without understanding how to get in these situations. So it's whoever's watching this, who, you know, they run across this video and they see it, and then if they get themselves in that situation, they're like, whoa, I'm in this situation, you know, and it could potentially save their life. So you be in the house, right? How does a person particularly get themselves in a situation where they could be stabbed, hit up, green lighted?
Well, if they playing at the poker table and they owe money and don't pay, some people, you know, some people take that don't take that too good. You know what I mean? So, and some people they might lose and get slick out their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might get caught cheating. You know, there's many different factors. There are many different things that go on a poker table that that can be a problem. You know, so
So as you as the house, do you play on the wood? Do you have people bring their cash to the table, or do you front
sometimes, yeah.
chips?
I mean, no, it all depends on the person. You know what I mean? It
Mm-hmm.
all depends on the person. You got just like you read people in cars, you got to read people in life. You know, is this person good for his word? So just being around people, you know who's a dirtbag. You know what I mean? Some people can't get a stamp.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, so and character and honor has nothing to do with color or race or nothing like that. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Some people, it doesn't matter. All that doesn't matter. There's white people I wouldn't give one stamp to, and there's Middle Easterners or black dudes I give everything I got if they need it. You know what I mean? It all depends on character and a person's word, and you learn this by being around a person.
Mm-hmm. So going into debt, right? Going into debt, um, could definitely get you green lighted, stabbed up, roughed up. And we're not talking $40, $50, you know. We're talking what would you say? What would you say the limit would be? Like, where would be the threshold of you going
It's
from?
different people. It's different people, different situations. You know, it's different people. You know, you might think a guy's good and he paid he paid a lot of money in the past, and then he needs to run up something like $400 or $500, and he ain't got it or whatever. You know, so do you want to mess up? Making $500 a day for this situation, or just be patient and see how it plays out. You can't go beating up everybody that owes you, for one. But if the disrespect comes into play, then that comes into play. So but there's other things going on too. Somebody might want what you got. You making that kind of money. There's scumbags out there. Well, damn, man, we get him out the way. We can, run the table and make money. But the problem is with that scenario is these people are coming to play with that particular table because there's honor and integrity there.
Right.
So they ain't playing with your table because they know you're dope fiend.
Everybody wants a clean table, and everybody wants to know they're going to get paid.
Exactly. And
So,
before, what I used to do before I paid out any money, I would count the money. You know what I mean? I just wouldn't hand them other people's money because they might be dummy books. That might be counterfeit money they give me. So I take all the money. If I got time to count it, I will. If I don't, I'm giving them all clean money that's counted. I used to pay a dude to count the money and bundle it up, and that was his job.
so let me ask you off the whole gambling scenario, the table. What is the likelihood? What's the percentage, Paul, that an individual could get stabbed, hurt, severely, severely effed up, dealing with gambling in the poker table?
Long as they're doing the right thing and they're not running up debts, they're not going to have no problem. Long as they're respectful to everybody, they're not going to have problems.
Because for
When
the
they
most
get
part,
respect,
everybody, yeah. Because first and foremost, the poker table is illegal in prison, so nobody wants to bring heat to the table. You know what I mean? So I would agree. I think the likelihood of a situation of you being stabbed, beat, is it really depends on, like you say, the situation. As long as you're not running up debt, as long as you're not trying to beat the table, cheat, anything of that nature. So let's move on to the dope. Let's move on to the drugs, right?
and look, I've never seen that work out for anybody because having a habit on the street is hard to maintain. So trying to have a habit in prison, it's impossible. Them people ain't going to give them thousands of dollars a week to support their habit, and people don't have that kind of money to support a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they do is they run up the bill and they don't pay, and they get stabbed, check in, go to another place and find out they checked in there and they get stabbed because you can't be on a compound if you checked in the last spot.
But they see that's the
So
thing though, because when you're fresh in, right, like the families are dropping money. You know what I mean? Like the families are breaking bread for these individuals. Like for instance, one of the rats on my case, his name is Angelo LaRocco. Okay. Now this is what this kid was doing at Coleman, right? And this was coming from a whole bunch of people that were coming to the institutions where I was at. Like this is a good way to get yourself stabbed. So
yeah, I'm here. Shut the door.
Angelo, right? What Angelo was doing was he was going to his visitation with his grandparents, and he was pressing his grandparents for money. And he was telling his grandparents about how he was being pressed, and he owed all this money and all of these things. They were going to stab him.
Let me get you. His family called the prison.
No, his family didn't call. No, not at all. His
I
family,
heard stuff like that before.
his family ran out of money is what happened. He milked his whole grandparents dry. That's how much of a scumbag this dude is. Not only did he testify against me, Paul, in a fashion I didn't even know this dude. He completely fabricated everything that he said to try to get out of his own time. He was a worm. He was a complete worm.
Well, I mean, he stayed true to his character.
He stayed true to his character. That's absolutely correct. So he milked his grandparents for everything that he had. And what he was doing was he was getting all this money from his grandparents and going buying dope. He was the cell block party dude. He was the one throwing the party, buying all the liquor, buying all the dope. You know what I mean? And then what ended up happening was because he ran up such a bill that when his grandparents were broke, and they told him no more, now he owed like $3-4 grand. You know what I mean? And I think that's a pretty fair number to get green lighted on. That's what I was asking you. Because
I know
you
a guy got killed for $125. And then he told the dude, look, the money is in Beaumont. He said the money has been sent, and they want their money. I want the money. He ain't here then, and they wind up stabbing him. He dies. They're in a hole. The next day, the money hit.
Mm. That's where I was at out there in Beaumont.
Yeah, I was at Beaumont.
That's where I was at out there in Beaumont. You know, and see, this is the thing, right? So this is how small of a world it is. Going into being a scumbag, right? And this is what I tell the parents and wives and things like that when they connect with me on the side. They're like, you know, how would my husband, how would my son fare in prison or whatever? I tell them exactly what you say. How was he on the street? You know what I mean? How was he on the street? What kind of person was he on the street? Was he beating people? Was he, you know, was he doing the, you know, scumbag things on the street? Because that's what he's going to do in there. And yes, he can be putting himself in
Yeah,
positions.
you ain't going there like that. You a scumbag. You're gonna get dealt with. And if you try to get protection under one of them groups, they eventually gonna find out your true colors and know you're not sincere, and you're gonna be a victim of the group that you join. I never joined no groups.
No.
I would
And
never join a group that would want me. Put point blank.
that was my biggest beef at Beaumont because I would never join no group. I walked alone all the time.
But truth be told, nobody ever asked me either. But I wouldn't join anyway.
But that's the thing is because no one ever asked because they already knew. You see what I'm saying? They only recruit the weak. They only look for the feeble, the weak, the people that they know are scared to walk by themselves. That's who they look for.
You want to bang, bro? Right here.
What
Bang.
is that?
That's a bang. I found it. I found it in the car.
Let me see the car, man. That's the vet, huh?
Yeah. This right here is the parts for the Mustang we got put on and the bumper.
I like that yellow on there.
Yeah, I'll show you the inside. My new watch. I ain't even break it out yet, man. The watch in the car, you know? Coming
Oh,
home present, you know? Coming
yeah.
home present when you do the right thing.
You got to treat
Let them
yourself,
boys
man.
know, do the right thing. You get presents when you come home. You know
That's
what I mean?
if we only knew that 20 years ago, man. Let me see the watch. You didn't bust the watch? Bust
I
the
ain't even
watch.
break it open yet, man.
Let me see it. Break it open.
I want to drive the car, bust the watch open, everything, you know.
Nah,
At
break
one
it open.
time,
Break
you
it
know?
open break it open right now. Saturday Night Live, man.
All right, hold on.
Come on. You owe me that. You can do that for me. Let's go.
I wanted to wait.
Show him the box.
Hold on.
Bust it out with your homeboy, man.
Be a fucking. Better not be a Timex.
A Folex.
Man.
Big pimpin', spending cheese.
Yeah.
You know why I approve of that? Because that'll never depreciate. Unless you know, you throw it around and whatnot. Hold it up. Bring it up here. Yeah. Put it in the camera. Now put it in. There you go. There you go. Yeah. That's a nice leather
You know,
band
all
too.
right. Huh?
It's a nice leather band.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So, you know, let me tell you about being a scumbag, right? And how it catches up to you. And because you're at one institution, don't think that you can never be reached at another institution, right? That's mistake number one. So I'm at Texarkana, okay, out there in Texas, and I'm in the shoe. and I'm getting transferred. And they got a shoe orderly in there, right? Now, a shoe orderly, for those that don't know, is an inmate that is probably being transferred himself, or he could be a check-in, or he's just not on the compound. He's back in the shoe, which is special housing, segregation. He's back there for a long time. They'll make him an orderly, right? Now, this dude's name was Bob, and he was from New Orleans, right? And Bob was, like, I'm 6'3", so Bob was like at least 6'6". Big dude. You know what I mean? So, black dude from New Orleans. Had dreads, kind of walked funny. You know what I mean? So, Bob is the shoe orderly at Texarkana. Now, when you go to the shoe, when you go to confinement, what happens is, whatever happens out in the compound, for me this particular day, I got into an altercation with the officers on the lunchroom on Hamburger Day when they let out Unicorn. This was a Wednesday, right? You know, on Wednesday, the lunchrooms are packed for them hamburgers and French fries, right? Are you with me? Are you there?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, you look
I hear you. I'm
froze.
listening to you.
You look froze
I'm
there for a
listening
second.
to you.
I just want to make sure you ain't lock up on me. But listen, so so this was on this Wednesday. Get into the altercation. I go to the shoe. Now, when you go to the shoe, you don't have all your property that's back in your cell, right? They just take you to confinement and lock you up. And it could be days before you see your property, right? Now, this property is very dear to you because when you go to the shoe, like especially when you go and the whole compound knows you go, man, people are jetting to your locker. One, if you got some good homeboys, like Paul was saying earlier, if you're a good solid dude, you'll have homeboys that'll watch out for you. People won't even steal from you. You know what I mean? But you'll have dudes that'll go back to your locker, try to steal your property. This is your property. Like, this is all you got to your name. You know what I mean? Like, you will kill somebody over taking your property, right? You don't let nobody take nothing from you. So now you're in the shoe, and the officers go and they bag up your property, and then they'll deliver your property down to confinement. Now, Bob, being the shoe orderly, will get your property from the officer bringing it down, and he puts it in a room. Now, what this particular dude was doing, this scumbag, right?
Stealing.
He was stealing people's property. So when the property comes in, when your property comes in, Bob will empty your bag out on the table, right? So the cop can come pull you out of the cell and bring you in. So Bob will put all your stuff down on the table, and then you got to come in. They'll bring you down in shackles. You come in, you look at all your stuff like this here. Yeah, that's all my stuff. That's all my stuff. You sign your thing, bam, 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 and then you're going back to your cell. Now, what Bob's doing, because now as the cops bringing you back, Bob's taking your shit, bam, 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 and he's throwing it in his property bag because he has access to all of this, and he's being shipped. He knows he's being shipped. So he's taking radios, he's taking all kinds of shit that he can go to another compound and sell all this shit on the compound. That's what he's trying to do. You know what I mean? So, and we won't know that. See, that's the thing, because we signed for our property. Everything was there. We signed for it. And if we're getting shipped, we may not see that property again for 6 months, 8 months, right? So,
but that'll get him killed. That could get him killed, though.
Okay. Moral of the story is coming up. So I get shipped from Texarkana and I go to Three Rivers. I'm at Three Rivers for about 8-9 months. But when I get my property at Three Rivers, that's when I realized that Bob stole my shit. And I told myself then, PJ, right? If I ever see this motherfucker anywhere ever again, right? Now I'm at a whole different institution. I'm doing my time at Three Rivers. I get into an altercation at Three Rivers. I'm getting shipped from there. That's how I go to Beaumont. As soon as I get to Beaumont, right? I get there on a Friday night, like at 7-8 o'clock. I get up Saturday morning. I'm going to the child line, and I see this big okey lokey looking dude hopping his ass across the compound like this here. And I said, oh my God, that's Bob. That's Bob, man. I stepped to Bob. I didn't even go to chow that morning. I just got onto the compound, just got on the Beaumont. You know what I mean? And like you said, no ask for no permission or nothing like that. Man, I stepped to Bob right there on the compound, catching him coming across because Beaumont has a loop like this here as it goes to the chow hall. So I caught him on the loop. I'm like, hey, Bob, what's going on, man? He looked at me all kind of, he didn't know who the hell I was. I said, you don't know me? I'm like, you don't remember me, Bob? He's like, nah, man. He's looking at me like I'm his friend. You know what I mean? In a way. I'm like, yeah, man, I was in the shoe at Texarkana. As soon as I said that, Bob's like, oh, man, I don't want no problems, man. I don't want nothing to do with that stuff. You know what I mean? That officer, he's like, he went to selling out. I'm like, Bob, I don't even put that shit on that officer. I ain't got nothing to do with that officer. I said, all I want, Bob, I said, listen, I don't want no problems. I said, all I want is all my shit, and I want it today by lunchtime. Have all my shit. I was over in MB, right? So he brought all of my shit other than my radio. You know what I mean? But when he brought the radio, he came with a dude because he was with he was a Crip. So he came with a dude named Capone from the Crips, who later, because of this, worked in my favor, right? But it started a relationship with me and Capone that favored me in the end, let's say. You know what I mean? But Capone had asked me, he's like, man, just listen, we'll get you a radio, whichever radio you want out of the store, but we're gonna handle this on our own. You know what I mean? And they fucked Bob up pretty good. They hit Bob up pretty good. But the moral of that is when you think that you can get away with something, right? That's the grimiest, one of the grimiest things that you can do, aside for being a rat, being a rat or being a chomo, a child molester, or any like one of these deviant type dudes. You know what I mean? These guys that are jacking off on women and all this crazy stuff that they do.
All that get you messed up.
All of that stuff will get you in some circles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it also, some all depends what side of town you on. You know what I mean? Mostly all white dudes that are sexual deviant, they get handled.
Yeah.
Most of the black cars get handled, but some black cars, have a pass. Some of the Cubans, they got passes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No question. And because white dudes aren't gonna play that. If a white dude hears that you were jacking off on a female staff or anything like that, that's serious business. You know what I mean? It's like white being a gay dude, right? Being a homosexual as a white dude, you're just not really messed with. Like you could be a white dude and be gay in there and mess with other gay people or whatnot.
But you can't mess with other races.
You can't mess with other races, right? Yeah, but you can have you a woman in there, but dudes aren't going, first and foremost, dudes aren't going to have your back. You know what I mean? They're not going to have your back. They're not going to ride with you, and they're not going to bother you in that sense. They're not going to stab you. They're not going to run you off the compound for being that way, as long as you're straight up with it. Because if you are that way, and me and you are sitting down breaking bread together, because inside, even now, right, I'm very, very close to who I break bread with. I only break bread with men. That's how I've always kept it. You sit down at my lunch table to eat with me, you was a solid dude, and you knew that. You know what I mean? So now if you're portraying that you're a solid dude in that fashion, and then you turn around and you got these secrets, that can get you messed up on the compound. That can definitely get you messed up quick.
Exactly. You can't be having them type of skeletons in your closet and messing with good people,
But if you're a solid dude and you're like, hey man, this is just what I do, this is how I am, cool. You do your thing. You know what I mean? Just don't, these are the guidelines, we'll hey man, what's up? How you doing on the compound? But that's about it, But going back into the dope, getting into debt, right? Because dope's gonna get you into debt because people aren't gonna just keep sending you money. You know what I mean? You're going and you're getting dope. You're involved in any kind of addiction. You're involved in any kind of deviant stuff. Um, what else? What else we got that can get you? Of course, not minding your business. You know.
You know what I've seen got a lot of people? When something happens, right? You know, the SIS and everybody, they would pull people in and do interviews, you know? And so everybody, the smart people, they like, I don't know nothing. I was, I ain't see nothing, whatever. But some people like, yeah, it was about this. It was about that. This person did this. They think it's going to be a secret
Mm-hmm.
between them. But they writing it down on that paper, right? Next thing you know, they charge the guy, and it comes out all that everybody who gave a statement that day, thinking it's between the SIS, the cop, and him, and they're trying to get brownie point. Everybody that gave a statement is coming out in the discovery. While they sitting in the hole, they get their discovery, their legal papers, their charges, all that, and everybody that made a statement on them is on that compound. They send that paperwork out there, and everybody that did that is getting handled at the same time. I've seen that a lot.
Well, that's that. I mean, that's a good point too, man. Because a lot of people don't know about that, about these investigations that you talk about, these questionings and whatnot, where they'll come and they'll. So what'll happen is say me and PJ's in the unit, right? Me and PJ's in the unit, and we have an altercation, and for whatever reason, one of us gets seriously injured, right? To where the dorm gets locked down because the officer don't know what's going on. He sees blood somewhere, has no idea, but he knows somebody got hurt somewhere, so they lock the unit down. They'll keep the unit locked down, and then they'll run these investigations. So what that means is you have your counselors, whoever their special investigation unit is, they'll come in and they'll set up shop, like down the corridor outside of the unit, and they'll start pulling inmates out of their cells and taking them into the office. Now, everybody is watching everything in this moment. People are on the doors,
Yeah,
they're
how long
watching.
they in there? Like, damn, he was in there 30 seconds. He
They're
was in there a
timing
minute.
that. That's
He
right,
was in there
because
5 minutes. What the fuck?
that's
You better
right.
go in there. My name this, my name that, and get the fuck on out of there.
That's exactly right, because
Don't try to hold me up in here.
That's exactly right. And because we know that it only takes 30 seconds to walk in there and tell these people, man, I don't know nothing, and turn your ass around and walk right back out. Anything longer than that, okay, these people in there having a conversation. You see what I'm saying? So, and it could be anything, right? Because you go in there and this case manager could be like, oh, hey, Thomas, how you doing? How's everything going? Man, listen, I'm not in here to talk to you, man. I'm out of here. So it's being aware that you don't go in here, and even though that you may know that you had a conversation about your kids with the case manager, everybody in the unit is right now looking at you like you're a rat because
Right.
you've been in here talking to this dude.
Right, and they could be just innocent talking about the family visitation, transfer, or whatever, and that's just being prison stupid. You know what I
Prison
mean?
stupid. You could be like, oh, case manager, while I'm in here with you, man, listen, I got this paperwork that I needed to, you know what I mean? And you guys, and you're in there for 5 minutes handling this.
This ain't the time for that. And you prison stupid, you gonna wind up hit up.
Be like, I don't know why they did that to me, Grandma.
Hey, let me tell you a good one. Here's a good one, right? It's a good dude too, right? There ain't no rat or nothing like that, but he got a crippled arm, and he's a good dude and straight up dude. And but he got beat up by the police. I think it was in Colorado, one of them spots, and he filed a lawsuit. Now I wouldn't recommend that, you know what I mean? But he wanted to file a lawsuit, so. But anyway, that's his prerogative. But anyway, he filed a lawsuit. So when the police get served, when you do anything to a police or administrator, it's going to come back to you some type of way. So what they did was they put a bad bone on the guy. When the law hit, he working for the SIS's wife in education down there being a clerk.
Mm.
So he leave and come back to the unit, right? And the lady knows that these other dudes ain't showing up to work. So she goes on up there and says, look, Mike, John, where y'all at? I know you up in here. Red told me y'all was in here. Red ain't tell him nothing.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of setup they do.
They cross him
So
up.
they put him under the gun. Now they're all looking at him like he telling her stuff. He ain't
Right.
tell her nothing.
So let me
But
ask you this here.
stuff.
That's a good example. So let me ask you this. You get approached with that, right? Somebody comes to you and they're like, Paul, the cop told me that you said this. How do you respond to that?
You got to handle that cop. You got to handle that cop.
First and foremost, I'm going to tell this dude, man, don't ever come and tell me anything that a cop told you that I said.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
I mean, it's like this. If you put hands on a cop, they working with groups.
Mm-hmm.
Not in every prison, but the prisons that count, they got a man in every car that might be a shot caller that they can go to. That this he's the man for this. You know what I mean? So
Talking about the cops.
The SIS is working with an inmate that's like a shot caller.
The shot
now,
callers, right.
Okay, so now, the shot caller comes to him and says, look, my boy's in the hole, man. I need him out. No problem. Oh, man, he's got serious pull. We go to the hole, he can get us out. You know what I mean? They just, he's got tobacco, he's got this. All right, he's got all that. He's a man. They looking up to him. All his little gophers looking up to him, right? The whole time, it's like a helping hand relationship between SIS and him, right?
That's right.
Now the SIS has got a problem needs to be dealt with. He pulls him in. Look, I got a guy getting off the bus. I don't want him on my compound. Why don't he want him on the compound? Truth be told, he put hands on another cop. All right, good hands. The guy's good, real good with his hands. He put hands on like 3 cops. So he tells me, I don't want him on the compound. The guy's going to cause a racial incident, and y'all don't want no racial incidents here. All right, so he pumps him up with the racial thing and all this and puts him on a job. So now the guy's going to be looking for him. So when he hits the compound the next day, he sends a couple torpedoes at him, like 3 guys. His guys go to hole. He going to send them back coffee, get coffee back there to him, by Connect and everything. And he going to have him out there in a couple of weeks. He going to have him back on the compound. He going to look like a hero shot caller. Mm-hmm. And that's the type of shit that goes on. You know what I mean?
Right.
See,
and that's why.
Back in the day, you do something to the police are going to handle you.
Yeah.
You know, I got into it 2 times with the police. The police handled me.
That's how it used to be, man. It used to be.
Me up and beat me half to death. I ain't gonna lie. One day sent me to outside hospital. I got so many stitches on me. I look like Frankenstein's son.
That's how it used to be, man. It used to be us against the police. Like it used to be the inmates were always together, no matter what. You know what I mean? And it's not like that anymore, man. Now you have inmates that are doing the guards' dirty work. Because
they're getting charged. Because it stopped like with the Cowboys there. You know, when they start getting charged, they start doing things other ways. You know, before you do something to police, when you grow up in Marion, used to be locked down, they pulling you out first and they beating your ass. That's the way it used to be. And then you might get asked what when you go to the next spot. You might be on that damn bus for 6 months or a year straight. Yeah. Cuffed up every day. Going around on diesel therapy. They have ways to punish you ass.
Diesel therapy. And nobody will know where you're at. And you're just being
Nope.
shipped all over the place. You're being shipped, man.
Yep. Property getting lost, pictures, family, letters,
All
everything.
that's gone. Yeah, all that's gone.
So I never got no more beefs with the police after them 2 times. I learned my lesson on the second time. You know.
Mm.
So
Well, partner, great show, man. Congratulations on man, you got you some beautiful toys, man.
yeah, yeah, little something, something.
You know?
One last look for the
Mm.
for the home team.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll see you when you pull up down here with that.
That's a what they call that, a pussy magnet. I got a pussy magnet now.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm working on now, putting it in there, putting it in. I just ordered it.
I'm trying to throw mine away. I'm tired of mine. But you take care of yourself, man. Stay safe and I'm not even gonna say it, man. Just drive careful, be safe. You know what I mean? I know you know how to handle that power.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know if I told you, but next week, I probably go up for operation on my face. They done did a minor one already right there.
Yeah, you was talking about that earlier, man.
Complications.
So what they find with it? Cause I see you a little twisted.
Yeah, complications from that bullet. They still in there. They left it in there. Probably getting lead poison. I don't know.
Where's the bullet at?
But it's in there somewhere. There's all kind of fragments in there. That's what knocked my teeth out too.
We could have just done something while I was up there, man. You know, I've stitched people up before. I've cut infections out of people, man. We could do that. You know, get in there and dig that stuff out, man. No,
Now you can't get you broke up, but it's all way back there. I need an operation.
all right, Paul. Take care of yourself, man. Stay safe.
Later, man. I see you soon.
Catch you on the flip side, man.
All right, buddy. Take care. Say bye to everybody out there in TV land, or what they Skype land, YouTube land, or whatever it is land. Take
Yeah,
care, man. Just do the right thing. Do the right thing, and everything will always be okay.
do the right thing. I think Spike Lee said that. Do the right thing. All right, P. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in again. You know what I'm saying? Saturday night cell block. Thank you for your time. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Uh, just like Paul said, man, do the right thing. That's the main thing. Just do the right thing. You know, don't get into deviant stuff. Um, don't get into debt. Stay away from drugs. Just start understanding why you're there and that this is not a place that you want to be. You don't get status for this. You go nowhere in life, and sooner or later you're gonna find out that you don't want to be there. So don't do it at an old age where you got to come home and try to build everything, you know, like me at an old age. But go there, learn your lesson, study, start finding out who you are, understanding why you're making the decisions that you're making, and who's influencing those decisions on you, and be your own person, become your own person. Do what you have to do, stand strong, stand your ground, be willing to like Paul said in the very beginning, you have to put it in your head like you have to die for what you believe in. I wasn't going to let anybody rape me. I wasn't going to let anybody stab me. I wasn't going to let anybody do any of these things to me. So I did everything that I could do to make sure that I did not put myself in that position because I was not ready to die in that moment. I had a daughter. I wanted to go home. I had things to prove to people. But I avoided that stuff as much as I possibly could. Right? Yes, I've done things. Um, I've altered other human beings' bodies to the point that if they are still with us today, they remember me, I guarantee it. And I remember them. I remember everybody. It's not pretty. It was nothing that I was proud of. I never did anything out of pride or uh, bullyish. I was led to believe that first and foremost, I was doing good things. I was doing what the public wanted when it came to child molesters and pedophiles and things of that nature. But it's also knowing again that this is a mode of survival, and it's you're in a Thunderdome, you know, you're in Battlestar Galactica, you're in a mosh pit, knowing that if you do not show a certain type of charisma, a certain type of alpha, that you will become the victim. So it's knowing your lines, right? It's knowing your lines of what you will cross. Somebody once asked me one time, somebody had stole my property, and it was a little bit of property. And when he stole my property, he checked in, and then came out back on the compound several months later. Now, if I would have caught him from the very beginning, it would have been different. When he came back out on the compound, he didn't last very long, but the question arose to me, you know, because I took it to an elder on the compound, and I'd asked him, like, man, what am I supposed to do? Right? Me personally, because he's going to hit the compound, and I'm furious that this dude feels like he can come out after he checked in. Like, who does that? But the question that he asked me was, how far are you willing to go? How far are you willing to take this particular situation? Because if you approach him, right, you're going to have to do something about that. You're going to have to do something that you may not like. And if he becomes an aggressor, you may have to take it to a point that may not even be worth it at this point, because he's done marked himself. And if you just sit back and let life be life, you'll find that it will take care of these problems that you feel that you have to take care of because you felt you were wronged, right? That's ego. That's you wanting vengeance and you wanting that. And you have to ask yourself, how far are you willing to go in this particular moment? So that's a question for all of us to ask before we get into these situations, is how far am I willing to take this? Right? If I say something from the get-go, I have to be willing to take it all the way. So you have to know where that's at, because a lot of times people get themselves in these situations by simply just saying something. They think that it might end by calling this person a name or punching them in the mouth. And they quickly find it doesn't end there. And now it's escalated out of control. So if you are going to prison, you're going to a maximum security prison for your first time, you're going to a violent prison, or you're finding that you're in one. Make sure that you stay to your business. And that means you don't question anything. You don't comment on anything that you see, right? You don't even talk about it. You didn't even see it. You only stay to what involves you. If there's something brewing on the compound, right? If there's something brewing on the compound, somebody's spreading a rumor about you, and you hear about it, hey man, somebody's saying that you're hot. You know what I mean? That you're a rat. And you're not, right? You have to nip that in the bud immediately. Quick story before I go. Right? There's a guy. This is right before I came home, and this was a low facility, right? And the low has a lot of sex offenders, child molesters. This is why people don't like going to low securities, because this is where you find all of these sick bastards at. But if you're trying to program, you're trying to get home, you're trying to get out of this violent nature, and you've learned how to do your time for yourself and not be involved in none of that stuff, you go to a low, right? So I ended up at Miami Low, and there was a dude there named Anthony. Now we're sitting in the day room one time and we're watching TV, and Anthony tells me that there's a rumor going on around him that he has sex crimes. So I look at him and I'm like, huh? So he's like, yeah, man, there's this dude over in his dorm saying he knows me and I got sex crimes in the past. I'm like, well, do you? And he's like, no, I said, well, why are we talking about that? Why? That's something that you don't let go. He's like, oh man, that's bullshit. I'm not gonna. I said, no, man, you don't let that go. I said, well, first and foremost, because I work out with you. You know what I mean? I'm on the compound with you. I eat with you. So I don't want anybody thinking anything like that about me associating with you. And if that gets around, now we got to handle that. So, bam, man, we got up on the next move and went to the dude's dorm and went inside. And the dude happened to be asleep. It was an older guy, ran his mouth a lot. So I kind of knew it was bullshit from jump. But he's in there asleep on the bunk, man. We walk right into the room. Bam, 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 bam. I'm hitting him on his bunk. Hey, man, listen. I heard that you say that you got something going on with my homeboy here, man. What is it that you say? And this is when the truth comes out. Oh, man, I heard that you... I said, listen, man, do you have any paperwork or anything to back up what it is that you said? Right? Because what you said is some serious stuff. And you don't say anything like that without having a proof to back that up, because that can get you seriously jacked off, whether we're in a low or not. So he had to wear something that day, between Anthony and this guy, because these are the situations that you can put yourself into, right? By saying things that aren't true. You hear somebody else say it, you speculate, right? You cannot accuse anybody of anything unless you have the factual proof, right? The paperwork to back it up. You can see it. If somebody stole something from me, right? If somebody stole something from me, I have to prove that he stole it, right? I have to prove that this man stole it, or like Paul said from the beginning, depending on your type of character, you just go fire off on the dude and you deal with the consequences later, right? So it just all depends on the situations. It depends on who you have around you. The best thing you can do is just go to prison. Don't gamble. If you do gamble, monitor yourself, monitor your money. Don't borrow money to play with, right? Don't get into drugs. If you do get into drugs, I would have an occasional smoke every once in a while. Whenever some good smoke hit the compound, some good weed hit the compound, I would hit me some weed. I've even smoked some of this K2. That's gonna have to be a story for another day. But it's everything, doing it in moderation, right? Doing it in moderation and understanding why you're doing it to begin with. Don't get involved with deviant stuff, and don't be looking out for people. Don't be a lookout. If you know that somebody's trying to set you up to be a lookout so that they can go do some deviant stuff, don't be a lookout for nobody. Avoid these things and you'll be all right, man. The time is easy as long as you do it in that fashion. You can make it very hard for you, and you can put yourself in a situation where your life is altered forever. I've seen people have to get colostomy bags. They couldn't shit anymore because they got stabbed so many times, because they were trying to run. They got caught on the fence as they were trying to hang up on the fence, or they were climbing the fence to get away from the attackers, and they're just sitting there stabbing them, in the ass end. I mean, I've seen these things, and once you see them, you can't unsee them. And it's knowing that any little decision, any little emotional outburst, any little thing can put you in a situation like that. So you just have to be conscious of everything that you do, and just be cool. Be cool. With that, you guys take care. I love you guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in. I got a lot of great things coming up. But before I go, as I said, let me tell you again to please be to go. I just read all that with no sound. I hate when I go online and this gets muted. Anyway, go to www.cominghomecoalition.com. Check out Project Start Fresh. Read what we got. We got Tampa Bay Rowdy tickets if you're into soccer. We got baseball tickets. We got food tickets. We got all kinds of stuff, man. Go sign up for the raffle. And then you can read everything that I was just reading on mute. Y'all take care. I love you guys. Stay safe. Thank you for tuning in. God bless the less fortunate. We out.